We need a blooper reel.
Hi, Amanda. How are you doing today?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How was your day today?
Busy. We actually just moved out of our little COVID cave apartment in preparation to go back on tour.
Exciting. Are you
Crazy.
excited about going back on tour, like being back on the road?
I'm stoked. I'm really, really stoked. What was once me and my dog touring has now turned into a family of four with my partner and our other new dog. So there's two humans, two fur babies going on tour this time, and we're really looking forward to
How does
it.
it work with like having multiple people on tour with you like that?
I'll have to get back to you when I find out. It's my first time, but I imagine really good. Tour um, can be really lonely sometimes. I mean, we're super well to have a great cast, a great crew. But sometimes when you're like going back to your apartment or your hotel room alone, you're like, oh, I kind of wish I had my people there. So I'm really excited to be back with my people.
Well, that's really exciting. So let's go back a little bit. Like how did you get into musical theater and like how did you know like this is what you actually wanted to do?
I had a glamorous story about how I got into theater for you. It's more embarrassing than anything. So I think actually, I was kind of a late bloomer. I was in eighth grade. And one of my best friends in middle school was like, hey, I do this theater group. You should audition with me. We're doing Beauty and the Beast. And I was like, I love Beauty and the Beast. I'll totally audition. And I was like, I'm going to get Belle. Like, I'm determined to be Belle. And the day that we had to go to auditions, my mom drives me because I'm in eighth grade, and I could not get out of the car. It was on the edge of a cliff. Like my legs would not move. I was mortified to be there. So mortified that my best friend had to come out and drag me out of the car. And I squeaked out a riveting rendition of "I Could Have Danced All Night" for My Fair Lady, and I was cast as a dancing knife in Be Our Guest. And so that was it.
I love
I'm a
that.
lot better now.
I'm
But
glad you're
yeah,
no
my
longer playing a dancing knife.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad you're like no longer being like a dancing knife. You're like doing better things than that.
So I absolutely would love to play an enchanted inanimate object. I wish at the time that I appreciated it a little more, but I ended up having a good time and it obviously stuck.
Well,
I just worked a little harder to be more prepared for auditions the next time around.
and maybe next time actually get Belle.
I actually did play Belle.
Oh wow. Okay. When?
I'm sorry.
When did you play Belle? Was it
I
still?
played Belle. No, no. So I actually ended up getting to reprise the show. It was like my second ever professional production, and I ended up playing Belle. I want to say that in between my sophomore and junior year of college. So the next time I came back with a little. I was ready. I was ready that time.
So as someone who really loves Disney, is Belle like the only Disney character you've ever played?
No. No. So actually, I would say like beginning my professional career, I was almost always cast as a Disney princess. I've been Belle. I was Belle and Ariel in the same summer, professionally. I played Cinderella, obviously Rodgers and Hammerstein, not Disney, but still princessy. I played Jane and Tarzan.
Okay.
I've done a lot of the princess tracks. So it's fun to be a witch for once.
Well, let's kind of talk about Wicked a little bit. So, like, first of all, how are you enjoying being on Wicked?
When I was in it, I was really enjoying it, and I'm really excited to go back. It really is a dream. Wicked was the first musical I ever saw, so to have it be my first like really really big production is really full circle for me. And unfortunately, we were supposed to go to Tampa this past year, which is my hometown, which is where I saw it, which would have been amazing. So unfortunately, I don't get to do that, but um, no matter where we are, I always have a good time in every city that I seem to know or that have moved there from my either my hometown or from New York. So there's a sense of community everywhere we go. So I've enjoyed every bit of it.
So when you first saw Wicked, like, were you one of those people in the audience who was like, I want to be in Wicked one day in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was in seventh grade, so right before I auditioned for Beauty and the Beast. And I was just enamored. I mean, there's nothing like watching Elphaba rise in defying gravity. There's nothing like watching Glinda come in on the bubble, and the dancing and the costumes are incredible. Um, it was magical for me, and I'll never forget it. And I remember saying, it was like, if I ever make it to Wicked, I'll know that I've made it. And now I'm here and I'm like, holy crap. I still to this day I'm like, oh my gosh, me, I'm in Wicked. It's really humbling because everyone around you is immensely talented. um, and what's even better is everyone's super super nice. And I think that because of the show and the heart of the show and what it means, and the message we get to portray every night, um, I think that resonates with us, and it resonates with everyone that comes to see it. So we've got a really, really good group, and I'm excited to get back to them.
I'm excited to actually be able to see you guys again because it was amazing the first two times I've seen Wicked. So like, what, before you were on Wicked, like, did you only see it that one time, or did you see it multiple
Oh
times?
no, I've seen it. I think I saw Wicked like 5 or 6 times before ever auditioning for it. I've had different friends in different roles throughout the years, and so I would go to see the show for them, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. They're in Wicked.
And did you always want to be Nessa, or did you want like a different role,
Oh my
or?
gosh, I was open to be. I actually always said that I wanted to be the monkey in the very beginning that like cranks the wheel to make the
I saw this role right there. I saw this
I
role.
was like, just I'll be. Little did I know, there's so much more to that track as well. Chistry, I think it is known as like one of the most physically demanding roles in all of musical theater. If you knew what Trevante had to go through to play that role, man. I don't envy him, but I love watching him.
The opening number for Wicked is just like a big thing in general. Like, it's
Explosion.
so much happening, and like, it's just a powerful number. Like, of the whole show, what's your favorite part?
Actually, musically, my favorite part is a part I'm not even in, but I still cry all the time whenever I'm watching it or I hear it from my dressing room. Is the "No One Mourns the Wicked" reprise, when Glinda pulls the curtain and they look at each other. She and Elphaba look at each other that one last time, and she shuts the curtain all the way. It gets me every time. Every time. The music is so beautiful. I love it. I love it.
The
The
music
favorite part
part
I'm
is
in, probably, I love being in Dancing Through Life. It's just such a, I get to be in the middle of all these amazing dancers, obviously sitting there, but I do some wheelchair choreography. I get into it if you watch.
Let's talk about that for a hot minute. It's like
Yeah.
the whole wheelchair and everything. Is that a hard thing to do with being Nessa, or is it like?
Yes. Yes. So it's interesting because when we rehearsed the show, so typically this tour has been going for 11 years. So when you come into the show, you fly out to the city that they're in, rehearse it for a few weeks, depending on your track. I rehearsed Nessa for 3 weeks, and then we jump into the show. Um, and what I was rehearsing in was a small black, like, contemporary wheelchair like you see in the hospitals, like when you leave surgery, you're like, thanks, and you just wheel on out. It's like 4 pounds or something. The wheelchairs in the show are made of like metal and wood, and they are like 100 something pounds. And so I remember probably the first like 4 or 5 weeks, I would lug myself in this chair. I was exhausted, like just going across the stage. There's a part when there's a part when uh Elphaba and I meet in the middle of the stage during Dancing Through Life for the finally for this one night I'm about to have a fun night, that part. And for like 5 weeks, I like almost never made it. I had to come from the back and wheel all the way down to front center stage and meet Elphaba there. And there were a few times that Marianne Torres, who was my Elphaba when I started, was like waiting for me to get there. But I made it eventually. I caught up eventually. But that's something I've been doing, my bicep curls the last few weeks, trying to get back into shape for that part.
I mean, just you get an arm workout just being Nessa, apparently, is what I'm hearing.
I was the most jacked I've ever been playing that. My arms, I have like tiny little wings, and so they were looking pretty jacked when I played. So that's one thing I am looking forward to is the
Is it
arm
being
workout.
Jack again? Okay, cool.
Just the arms, just the arms.
And so, do you think that when you go back on tour, you're gonna be like trying to like get your way all the way up there? You think that Talia's gonna be maybe waiting on you to wheel around up there?
Maybe the first couple shows, but I'm like I said, I've been prepping for it, so hopefully not.
Cross our fingers.
Hoping it'll be like muscle memory, and I'll just be like, oh yeah, okay, we're getting back into the groove of this. But no, I think my arms are pretty weak sauce right now, so I got some catching up to do.
How long has it been since like you've done the show? Last what, like year and a half now?
Yeah, almost a year and a half.
My muscle memory is probably still there, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So,
hopefully, yeah. But yeah, I'm excited.
all right, cool. So, what's your favorite part about actually playing Nessa?
Nessa has a really incredible arc in the show, and without giving too much away, she really changes pretty dramatically throughout the course of the show. But everything she does is because she loves so hard. She loves so much that it takes her through this incredible journey. And so that's what I love the most about playing her. I think she's got a really, really pure soul and good intentions most of the time. Most
Most of the time.
of the time.
And like, which part of the musical do you like the best? Do you like the first half, like Act One, or do you like Act Two more?
I would say Act One is more fun. Act Two is more real. So it kind of depends on the mood that you're in. Like, Act One is the part where you're like, oh yes, dancing through life, yes, yes. And then Act Two, you're like, oh my gosh, oh, Alphaba's so misunderstood. Why does everyone hate her? Like, I mean, everyone who knows The Wizard of Oz knows the course that it takes and how but really, Act Two is the kind of, we rope you in with the fun stuff at the beginning and they're like, now listen to this message.
Exactly. And it was
Yeah.
interesting. I was talking about Wicked at my job one time, and I'm literally just talking about, yeah, totally a fan of Alpha. Like, I'm on her side 100%. And this guy I work with, he's like, she's bad. She's evil. We're not supposed to like her. I'm like, but
He's
in Wicked,
misunderstood.
talk about how it portrays in Wicked. Basically, let me just tell you this. And he's like, no, but she's Wicked. I'm like, I don't care about that Wicked Witch label. She ain't Wicked.
He needs a ticket to the show.
If I liked him enough, I would, but I don't even like him. He knows who he is. But yeah.
Shade. Shade.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that was like two. I'm not this mean, I promise. All right, cool. So right now you're part of the on tour cast. Would you one day want to be like in New York City at the Gershwin, or do you like being part of the on tour cast more?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're all under the same company. So people bounce from the tour to Broadway all the time. And I do plan on going back to New York once my leg of the tour is up. So yeah, I would be thrilled to go into the New York cast just to say I've done both. And they're a really, really wonderful group to work for. They really, really take care of us. They've done a really good job taking care of us during COVID. So we've been really, really blessed that even when we weren't technically like employed by them during COVID, we still felt that way. We still had meetings with our producers, with our stage management, letting them know that, hey guys, we're here for you. We will be here for you when everything comes back. You all still have your jobs. And I think we were really, really, really lucky in that sense. Because I know a lot of my friends and other shows, unfortunately weren't able to sustain the financial burden of COVID. And so I hope that everyone gets the relief that they need after this and when the shows open back up. So I hope those that need it get the chance to do it first in New York before I come back.
And like Wicked's one of the three that will actually be starting back on Broadway, both on tour and on Broadway, I do believe, like in September-ish, I think.
Yeah.
So like when do you guys start like rehearsing back for tour and everything?
2 weeks from today. So we start rehearsing the week of July 12th, 13th, something like that. Yeah, so 2 weeks from now.
Like, where do you guys are you guys gonna rehearse and like where your first show is going to be?
Yeah, we'll rehearse out in Dallas.
Texas is gonna be fun.
It's gonna be hot,
That
but
is
it's good.
true.
It's good. We performed in Vegas last summer for 5 weeks, and that was hot. So I think if I can handle Vegas, I can handle Texas.
Florida is also hot.
Which I'm sorry.
Florida is also really hot.
Oh yeah, I'm a Florida girl through and through, and yeah, basically born underwater.
I live in Jackson. Like it's I've been sunburned twice now in the past like 2-3 weeks now.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
Florida's food is delightful. I swear. I'm also easily burnt, but that's fine too. So of like all the places like you've been on tour, like what's your favorite city you've actually performed in?
Mm, that's a really hard question because there's so many cool places. I had a really, really great leg when I first joined. I joined in Denver and then went to Seattle and Portland, made our way down the West Coast and over to Vegas. Um, I think one of the ones that really, really stuck with me, I loved Seattle. I loved how green the city was. I loved that we could, you take a step north, you're in the mountains, you take a step east, you're in the woods, on west, you're at the beach. And, I mean, they have everything. And being from the opposite coast, I was like, what is this magical place? Uh, Seattle, so I really loved Seattle and I loved Jacksonville. Florida, just because it was so close to my home. A lot of my family got to come see the show on my birthday, which is so much fun. And a lot of actually the youth theater group where I did Beauty and the Beast. All the kids from there got to come up. They drove up to come see the show too, and we did a talk back with the cast. A
Oh.
lot of my castmates stayed back and were able to talk to them, which was awesome. So yeah, those are two highlights, but so many wonderful cities, so many wonderful cities.
Well, I can tell you, I was definitely part of the Jacksonville audience.
The crew.
One of those, it was somewhere in I think it was the 27th, 26th, something around there. So it
Mhm.
was definitely close to Thanksgiving. I think it might have been after, or maybe it was something like that. Um, okay, so how's it like actually like working with like the
Um,
other Wicked cast?
with the Wicked cast.
Yeah, like how's
It's amazing. I mean, like I said,
oh, go ahead.
what? Sorry.
Just go ahead.
No, you froze for a second. What were you saying?
Oh, just saying, yeah. So like,
Oh,
what's it like, yeah.
the Wicked cast is amazing. What? We're so bad. We gotta. This has to be cut out. We need a blooper reel.
I, I'll do that at the very, very end.
Okay, so you ask your question fully, and I'll answer.
Okay. So what's it like working with the Wicked on tour cast?
Okay. They're just incredible, you have to be a pretty tight knit group of people just because we tour together, a lot of us live together, we work together. Um, they kind of become your family in that sense. It's like road tripping with your family. It's really, really like minimal. I would say like no drama, really. Not that I'm aware of, but I'm kind of in my dressing room alone for a lot of the show. But offstage, I mean, it's just nothing but good times. I've met some people that I know that will be with me forever, which is a really beautiful, beautiful thing.
So walk us through like your typical day of like getting ready for a show or not a show or two shows or like just kind of walk us through that.
So I'm typically one of those people. I'm just so enamored with the fact that I'm on tour, getting paid to travel around the country and to go to different cities. So I like to explore a lot. So on our days off, typically I'm hiking or around, restaurant hopping, probably both. But during the week when we're doing shows, um, typically I wake up, have my coffee, I'll walk my dogs, just kind of enjoy the day, not do anything too labor intensive because, I got to save up my arm muscles for some wheelchairing. But typically it's just kind of doing normal, everyday human stuff. I eat, I hang out. Sometimes I'll watch a little Netflix, and then I'll do the show.
And like when you're done with the show, do you like have to do like stay out late and like chat with other people, or do you just kind of like go home and like go straight to bed?
It depends on the night. By the end of the week, I think we're all pretty zonked. 8 shows is a lot. So usually by Sunday nights, we're all like, peace, see you on Tuesday. And I'll sleep for half of Monday. Just kidding. But no, I mean, a lot of times it really depends. Like, it kind of is the spur of the moment, like, hey, like I heard about this great restaurant. Anyone want to go out after our show on Friday? But typically we're not out too late on the weekends just because the 2 show days are they're a lot. It's 5 hours of about like 5 to 6 hours of turning on,
Yeah.
which I know is not anything compared to like most people's work schedules. um, but we do it is pretty it's a labor of love for sure.
Well, to be fair, you're doing wheelchair work for about 6 hours. So I'm sure a Saturday is really busy for you. It's really tiring. Did it become like easier like once you build back up that muscle?
Hello.
Or is it still like a hassle?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Huh, no, no. After a while, it's just I was like doing tricks and spins and the heavy chairs. I know when I go back, it's definitely not going to be that way. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to get back to it. So one of the most interesting things about playing a character and portraying a person who is wheelchair bound, my biggest fear and mission, whatever, I really wanted to make sure that it was authentic. And there's so much to it that I had no idea, and it really gave me a really deep appreciation um, for those people who do have to utilize it in their everyday lives. Things like when we learn the show, it's like, okay, we learn the show on tracks, right? So anyone who does theater knows that we have a bunch of numbers at the front of the stage. It tells us where to go. So, dancers aren't kicking each other. We're not spinning into each other or hitting people. Um,
That sounds like a
I have
disaster.
run into people in the wheelchair early on. Those are the early. We won't talk about that. but no, I mean, we learn the show and it's like, okay, and on this line, you're going to wheel here and look this way. And, actually learning, like we do normally, like if someone turns to talk to me, I will turn my whole body to look at them, and utilizing the wheelchair as my whole body. Um, it was really special when I had people who were wheelchair bound come up to me after the show and say thank you for doing that. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. I felt like it was wild to me that making sure that the truth and the heart of these characters are there. People will relate to any or all of us in the show. And that was a really, really humbling experience for me. And I'm really thankful to be playing this part and portraying that character.
I do want to kind of go into like a little bit of a deep moment real quick. So like people like me, I'm one of these people. I want to go for Broadway one of these days. Of course, not today. Today is not that day. But in the future, of course, down the road, down the long, dark road, what advice would you like to give to people who are wanting to go into musical theater and like maybe they just don't think that they're good enough, they don't have the voice for it, things like that? Like what kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, first of all, we all feel inadequate. We all have that complex where we all feel like we're not good enough. No matter how much of a professional, and whether you've been on Broadway 10 times or no times, we all feel um, that inadequacy a lot of the time. And it's just part of being an artist, I think, which is great because we're always striving to be better. And with that, always striving to be better, I think the most important thing anyone can do is to always take classes. Um, Me included, everyone I know, I still take voice lessons. We still go to acting classes. Everything is always evolving and changing, and sometimes it's good just to go back to basics. Um, so there's so many wonderful things to learn, and I think as soon as you're like, oh, I think I'm good, I don't need to learn something, you're in the wrong field because there's always something to learn about yourself. Because we have to portray these parts is us, right? Like we're not behind a computer, we're not in a lab. Not, I mean, yes, in labs, I'm sure you always need to be learning and continuing things. I hope so. Yes, thank you to all our medical professionals, especially during this time. Um, but all we have is our bodies, right? And so this is always changing. There's always something one day I'm like, what is that? Like, but whether it's in your voice or your body, there's always something to keep up with and to maintain. So take classes, and you'll get there. You know,
One way or the other, I'm sure.
one way or the other. And the other thing is that there are so many wonderful opportunities in theater that aren't necessarily limited to New York City. You know, some of my favorite contracts have not been out of New York. So
Well, thank you, Amanda, so much for meeting with me. I really enjoyed it.
thank you for having me. This is a blast.
With all the technical difficulties. Um, but, yeah, so hopefully I'll get to see you guys when you guys come to Charlotte. And yeah, that's
thank you for having me. Everybody come see the show.
I will be putting tour dates in the bio, so be sure to check out all of them. Also check out all of my socials and all of Amanda's socials, which will be down in the bio. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.